right, 5th grade, we are open to page 69 in our workbook so that we can correct our homework that we had on Friday or over the weekend. So, here's our homework here. All right, what was the first number that we had 5th grade for homework?
3.
It was 3, yeah. So, we practiced estimating on Friday. So, estimating the sum or the difference. So, if we're estimating here, we needed to round to the largest place value in each number. So, for number 3, 19.7, the largest place value is the 1 in the 10 spot. So, we would look to the right or look next door. 9, that's 5 or more. So, we're adding a 1 to it, or adding a 1 to the 1, so that'd be 2. Everything else becomes 0. So 19 and 7/10 would round to 20. And then we do the same thing for 6.9. The largest place value is the 6, so we look next door, it's a 9. That's 5 or more, so we would add 1 to the 6, make it 7, and that 9 would be a 0. So it's the same as 20 minus 7, which would get us 13. Do we have number 4 next? Yeah. All right, so then number 4, same thing. The 5 and 59, that is the largest place value. So we'd look next door, it's a 9. That's 5 or more, so we would add 1 more to 5. 5 plus 1 is 6. Our 9 becomes a 0, so that becomes 60. And then 43 and 6/10. The 4 is the largest place value. We look next door, it's a 3. Now 3 is not 5 or more, so our 4 would stay the same. Everything else becomes zeros. So 60 plus 40, plus 40. I know. I'm wondering why. How many of you got 100 as your answer? Okay, 100, definitely. That's what I would expect it to be. Very interesting. I'm wondering if maybe they rounded this to the nearest whole number. I bet they rounded it to 44. But I totally would accept 100, since usually you're supposed to round to the largest place value. All right, we had number 5 too, didn't we?
No.
We didn't? Okay, so next page, right?
Okay.
Number 8?
We had 2, 4, 8.
Yeah, we had 8.
And 11 and 12.
Yes. All right, so 8. 4 friends made a bar graph to show how many basketball cards they collected over the summer. About how many cards did they collect in all? So, since it said about how many, remember, that tells us we should be estimating that phrase, about how many. And that means we're rounding. So what I saw a lot of you doing was you would look at the bar and you would kind of look to see where it was and whether or not you should be rounding up or not. So I saw that some people ended up rounding pretty much every one of these to 40. Is there anyone who rounded each person's amount of cards to 40? Is there anyone who did that? Okay. So if you did, okay. So if you did that, then that would get you about 160 cards. Now, did anyone happen to round Ryan's maybe up to 45? Okay. Did anyone happen to round Jessica's down to 35? Okay. Because these two should probably be 40 for sure. But I would say as long as your estimate is around 160, you're good. You're good to go. That works. That is definitely close enough. Zoe? So, a reminder, when you have a word problem like this and they're asking about how many, your answer should also have about. So that is saying, I estimated. This is not the exact answer, but I estimated. Okay. Then we had 11 and 12, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then 11 and 12. So 11, Martha bought an apple for 89 cents and a drink for $1.95. Which is the best estimate of how much money she spent? So if we're looking at these, our first number would round up to $1 because the largest place value is a 0. We look next door, there's an 8. So the 0 would become 1, everything else would become 0, so $1. And then the drink, the 1 is the highest place value. We look next door, there's a 9. So our 1 becomes a 2, everything else becomes zeros. So $2 plus $1, that is about $3. So B. Then for number 12, Rachel bought a book for $5.49 and a game for $10.98. She paid with a $20 bill, which is the best estimate of the amount of change she should receive. So you had a couple steps for this one. First, you need to figure out about how much money did she pay, and then you were supposed to find the difference between the amount she paid and the amount of money she had. So our $5.49, that would have rounded to $5 because if we look next door, there's a 4. So the 5 would stay the same, everything else would be zeros. Then our game could have been, let's see. Did anyone round this to $11? Okay. Did anyone round this to $10? Okay, if you did 11, then that would have been 11 plus 5. That would have been 16. So 20 minus 16 would get you 4. So A. If you did $10, that would be $10 plus 5, which would be 15 minus, or 20 minus 15. That would be 5, but 5 isn't an option here. Did anyone get a different answer for this one than A? Are there questions on number 12? Okay. So, eyes on me for a second. Eyes on me for a second. Sometimes when you get like a word problem and they're dealing with money, instead of rounding to the largest place value, sometimes they will just round it to the largest dollar, meaning the ones place. So if you try in like a problem like number 12, rounding both numbers to the largest place value and that answer isn't there, then I want you to round it to the nearest dollar to where there's no cents left over. Then that should get you the correct answer. Does that make sense? Okay. Zoe? Yeah. All right, so then number 5. Is there anyone else who needs a number that they need to see again? Okay. How did we feel on this homework? 1 through 5. Show me on your hand. How did you feel? How did we feel? Okay. Okay. All right, hands down. All right, 5th grade, what I want you to do next is in your math notebook, open up to the next clean page for our notes. Go grab it.